back to 88 Talks. Today's episode is all about power versus precision, driving in straight line versus cornering, and performance versus handling. Well, we're putting the spotlight on these two beautiful cars with us. They are the Volkswagen Virtus 1 liter TSIs. So, diving deep, let's start with we have Varat, who has the Kurkuma Virtus, and we have Akshay, who has the Silver Virtus. Right? So let's start with Varat.
Okay.
So let's start with the basics. What's exactly under the hood?
So, as you guys know, it's running. It's having a 1 liter TSI engine, and it's got a BMC replacement air filter and a stage one remap. That's pretty much it under the hood.
Right. Nice. So Akshay, what?
The way performance over handling. But keep going. I think keep going and edit it.
What made you prioritize handling over driving in a straight line?
Well, I think for me the car already had enough handling to begin with. And this is coming from a Santro that I owned for 20 years. So I didn't find the car lacking in any way. I do a lot of driving, a lot of highway driving, a lot of high-speed driving. But what I did feel need for is a little more power. So that's why I went with these mods, which started with a catback exhaust, then an air filter, and I eventually went the whole way and got a full stage 2 ECU remap and exhaust from Code 6.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I of course did it in 2 stages. I initially had gone to a garage called Fastlane,
Okay.
and I had a Tunotronic tune with a Fastlane exhaust.
So you had a Tunatronics. What made you switch?
Yeah, very strange, right? But when I eventually drove a friend's stage 1 Virtus, same 1 liter manual, I felt that car had a lot better response. It had a much better low end, and the power continued almost till the top end.
Right.
Whereas on the Tunotronic tune, there were some gaps in the performance, is what I felt. So it took some time. Even the Code 6 guy said, I don't think it's worth doing this. Why are you going to spend the same money again?
Right.
But after about 3 weeks, I finally went ahead and did it and felt a pretty good difference. It actually feels much more powerful now.
Right.
And because of this, I eventually went ahead and got their full system exhaust as well. So it's one set,
So you're sticking on to Code 6 at the moment.
Code 6 at the moment. And luckily for me, a friend of mine was looking for the exhaust for his Virtus, so the old one just went straight, plonked onto his car. And he's a happy man too.
Great. So I've always had this controversial thought saying either Virtus is leaning towards being a performance-oriented car with acceptable comfort, or it's a comfortable daily-driven car with a sporty edge. What do you guys feel accordingly to this?
From the factory, I feel it's more like it's a comfort car with a sporty edge, because the initial Polos, what I've seen is the initial vehicles that was released by the VAG group. I felt those were more inclined towards more performance and a slight bit of comfort. But yeah, right now I feel it's very much tailored towards Indian road conditions.
I would agree. I've worked, with Volkswagen in 2010, and I've driven the Polo at launch and all the other cars, the Passat, the Jetta.
So you're used to the platform basically.
Used to the platform, and the first time I drove this car, it felt like a comfy everyday car. It had that slight stiffness that you could feel, where I could see that they've not, compromised on the handling. They've still
Yeah.
kept it a little stiff.
That's
What
true.
I heard is that the chassis is quite stiff, which is how they were able to soften the suspension for our Indian conditions.
That's true.
So Varad, what
Okay.
made you choose the Virtus as an ideal platform for your build?
So to be frank, I had a very low budget. This is literally my first car that I ever bought. So because I'm buying a first car, I had a small budget. So I had around 10 to 14 lakhs that I could put out to buy the car. So because I had such a low budget, I had very less options, and because of the safety factor and all of the other extra features that Volkswagen gives compared to any of the other Maruti or Toyota brands, I felt it's better to just go the extra mile, just put in an extra amount of money and just get this. So that's the reason I had to choose this.
Right. So what is your suspension setup? Can you go in detail about it and just explain it to me?
So the suspension setup on this, it's running a Gecko coilover system. It's a Gecko Street coilover system. So the features on this coilovers are, it has the preload adjustment, it has the height adjustment, and it has the damping adjustment. So the damping is about 24 clicks. So 24 being the most stiffest and 1 being the most softest.
Right. So that's pretty sweet. So you can adjust as per your requirements and your drive
Exactly.
terrain.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So Akshay, was it more about top speed, accelerations, or raw numbers on the dyno for you?
Well, I haven't dyno tested the car yet. I intend to just to know what she's putting out. But for me, it was more about the ease of overtaking, maintaining high speeds on the highway, and basically just having enough performance when you need it, right? Because a stock car, although it does have a strong engine, you do feel the need for a little more
Yeah.
at times. So
It's never enough. Power is never enough for us.
like Jeremy Clarkson says, power. That's the thing. And in fact, after buying this car, for after a few months, because I've already covered about 26,000 kilometers in about a year. So within the span of a few months, I actually felt should I have gone for the 1.5. And that's where the thing for performance started. I said, since I've bought this, it doesn't make a lot of financial sense to now sell this and try and buy the 1.5. There's no point.
So you make best with
Uh,
what is there.
Absolutely. I even did that. I went to the showroom, I checked with what the exchange would be. It just wasn't worth it. So that's where the performance mods actually started from. Saying, let's make the best of what we have here.
Certainly. So Varid, what wheels are you using?
So this one I've gotten Lenzo Jaeger Dyno 2 wheels with the Vredestein tires on it. So it's
What's the
seven,
tire profile on it?
So it's 225 45 R17. So that's the tire profile on the car.
So have you noticed any good changes with the change of tires, or would you prefer the stock ones?
I would say I would not prefer the stock ones, to be frank. After switching to these tires and wheels combo, I have had tremendous amount of grip now, and it's also slowing down or breaking down very, like in terms of the braking distance is reduced very much.
That's impressive.
Exactly. So now I'm starting to feel the car has less power because of how good the car handles in terms with the tires and the wheels.
Of course.
So
So
yeah,
you have grip at your command.
exactly.
That's good.
That's that.
So Akshay, have you tuned your ECU, and what are the gains?
Yes, I have tuned the ECU. It's called a stage 2 tune. They have two stages, right? You have a stage 1, which
Yeah.
is what Varad has done, or a 1.5 because of his air filter. And, so I directly did a stage 2 because at the point when I was going to do the stage 1, they just asked me, do you eventually want to get a downpipe? I said, yes. So he said, let's flash the stage 2 right away. That's how stage 2 happened for me. So at the tune, he told me not to floor it till the downpipe went into the car.
Set for a while and then
Yeah.
start with it. Makes
So that's how that happened. And I'm guessing now I need to do what Varad's done, and now Varad needs to do what I've done.
Exactly.
So, did you make any changes to your steering response as well as your brakes?
Not much on the steering response. Like all of the mods that are there already, the handling mods as we discussed, right? The suspension and the tires.
Right.
That basically helped improve the steering response automatically. Because the car is lower, it is more stiffer. Now just slight steering movements is gonna give me a lot of the input. So just with the slide input, it's doing a lot more of things that it needs to do.
Crazy.
And in terms of brakes, so this is the only car that is running aftermarket brake pads. These are the Breakraft starter pads, and it's running the Brembo rotors as well. Oh yeah, and also in terms of the brake fluid, that was the first mod that I did when I had got the car. So I had changed the OEM brake fluid to the BMW's brake fluid, the same.
Oh, that's
dot
pretty
force,
good, yes.
but it has a little more higher temperature tolerance than the OEM ones. So because of that, in higher speeds, it's a little more convenient to so that it can tolerate more higher speed braking basically.
Right. So, Akshay, what was the first mod you did on the car which gave you that performance boost?
Okay. And also continuing on the brake thing. In fact, coincidentally, Varad suggested the brake fluid change, and the brakes were kind of sketchy at stock. Once you've had a couple of braking attempts, you feel like the braking performance has come down. The pedal starts to feel a bit hard.
Yeah.
And that same BMW brake fluid, in fact, made a fantastic difference on the car. To the extent when I don't even feel like I need to upgrade the rotors, and all that was in the plan. Looking at Varad's car, so good step up. I think everyone with a Virtus should get the brake fluid upgrade. Makes a big difference. Yeah, with it doesn't have to be that
Yeah.
specific one, but I think that was a good fluid to go with. Made a big difference. So performance-wise, the first thing for me was coming from a naturally aspirated four-cylinder engine car. This one being a three-cylinder turbo was a completely different feel, right? And the first thing that I felt was that I didn't like the sound of the engine. Of course, you can't hear the exhaust much
The 1 liter has
stock.
a slight ticking sound to it, which is quite
Yeah,
annoying
it's
at
a
some
kind
points.
of clattery, mechanical
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
sound, especially at lower RPMs. You hear it a lot in the city.
That's
Exactly.
So for me, the whole process started with just getting a catback exhaust, right? Just to add that little bit of sound which I was hoping would mask that. And that did happen, and along with that, I did feel like the car is, moving a little more free.
Really
So
good.
that's why I decided let's go with the eventual full system exhaust as well. And that's why I spend a little more. I got a Valvetronic so that I'm not being antisocial all the time. And the great thing is it's quite mellow at lower RPMs, I
It's
would say.
subtle. It's not that raspy sound, but it's subtle. It's good
Yeah.
to hear.
Exactly. And I asked for double resonators in the exhaust.
Okay.
That's the other difference because this I learned from my Santro as well. When I was getting that car done, I didn't want it to be crazy loud,
yeah.
more of a sporty sound. That's the same thing I've done here. But yeah, she does scream at 4,000 RPM. The trumpets open.
Pretty good. So coming back to the brake part, so the Virtus doesn't come with the rear disc, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, they don't.
It doesn't come. So it is necessary to put a
Better-
conversion kit, right?
It would be helpful, I feel, but at the moment, I'm pretty sure every single person, every single Virtus owner is trying to find some or the other way to do the rear disc conversion. And I've seen quite a lot of Virtuses in the outside market, like I guess in Brazil, Mexico, and all of the other countries. They come with a rear disc brake from the factory.
Okay.
So, doing a lot of research and everything, but it seems like it's kind of in a niche area because it's going to cost you way much more to do that, and
Right.
it's something which not everybody wants to do it, right? Because it's still it's a newer generation of the vehicle. So
Right.
still, it's not come out in the second-hand market where people would buy it as a second-hand car and make it their
No,
project
given that your
cars.
car is focused mainly on handling part and
Yeah.
his is performance oriented. So both of you, I think brakes are the most important thing.
That's
Where
right.
I think it's adequate for the conversion kit or something as such, or just upgrade your brake disc and
Exactly.
rotors, etc.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right?
Have you felt the lack of braking? I mean, especially now that you've upgraded your rotors and all of that. Do you still feel the need for more braking power?
Maybe I could have gotten. Maybe I would have done a little more better brake fluid, maybe, because now that the rotors and the pads are a little more compliant, the rotors and the pads kind of both of them are together. Like it's like a little more performance spec, so it requires some heat for it to start
Okay, work
performing
at its
very well.
optimum.
So what happens in that scenario is that I pump it once, and then I give it a little more of a push. So at that point, what happens is the BMW fluid that was done on this, it works to a certain extent, but at very high speeds above like around 150 above and all of that. At that time, where I have a feeling where it may or may not do it, like
Okay.
not 100% confident. That may be also because of the brake lines as well.
Maybe.
So we cannot say
Do you
anything
feel
exactly.
that kind of what is it?
The stuttering.
Yes, exactly.
So stuttering, I've never had this. Initially, when I had the OEM brake fluids, I had a lot of stuttering.
Right.
But after I
So-
did the full setup, I don't have any stuttering at all.
So that's a win-win situation
Exactly.
for you, right? So Akshay, how does it feel when you push the car flat out? Any strength or weakness? What you would like to put it out?
I think the stage 2 tune has really opened up this car. So you have power all the time. It's only if you're in the wrong gear. I mean I don't do that, but sometimes let's say you have to suddenly slow down for something and you're still in third or something. That is when you will feel the turbo lag. It's still there. It's not that it's completely eliminated.
So the low end torque is
Right, but you have to be in the right gear. I mean, it's a turbocharged car, so you can't, and I've seen that if you tend to drop it below 1,000 RPM, then there's no power at all.
But with your stage 2 tune, how is the turbo lag helping you with it?
It's helped a lot. I think, especially the downpipe helps the turbo spool up much faster.
Yeah.
Because a stock car, you could feel a bit of a lag before it really takes off.
Yeah.
But now, just before 2,000 RPM, you feel it come on really strong.
That's very
And
good.
at 3,000 RPM, it really opens up the tabs. You feel a big difference.
So Varad, how does it feel to be cornering in this car?
Oh, it handles like a dream at the moment. To be honest, I'm not a extremely very good driver. To be honest, so for me, in terms of confidence, what Akshay might have the same confidence with his setup,
Right.
I did not have the same confidence with my OEM setup. So I had to do the handling mods for me to have that kind of confidence in. And as soon as I've gotten all of this, I'm taking corners at speeds that I've never even thought about that I would be able to
So
do
it's
in this car.
predictable basically. You
Yeah,
can
it's
control
extremely
it. It's
predictable.
within
Yeah,
your
it's
hands.
extremely predictable.
Right.
And it's and once it once you tune up the damping it to a stiffer setting, it literally becomes a go kart. You can literally have the tail. You can have the setup such that you can have the tail spinning out. You can have the setup which is like extremely understeery, where you have extreme control.
So you
to
have
do
the
everything.
confidence of cornering at higher speeds
Exactly.
without worrying about anything else.
Exactly.
That's impressive. So that's again thanks to Gecko for that.
Yeah.
Right. So have you faced any reliability issues with respect to this car?
Zero, I would say. The only thing that I've changed additionally is probably the wipers. I didn't like the stock wipers much.
So you have
zero complaints
with this car.
Zero complaints with the car. The only one time that the car died on me was purely my fault. I had the dash cam connected to my 12-volt socket, which we usually have to disconnect because it's always on this
Yeah.
car. So I left it lat for 2 days. When I came back, the battery was flat. But apart from that, yeah, that was on me. But the car so far has been reliable. It's been 26, almost 27,000 kilometers.
Yeah, the 1
Absolutely.
liter and the 1 liter
Absolutely.
TSI is literally like a 2JZ of the smaller engines.
So it's fantastic what they've done with the 1 liter engine and how
Yeah.
strong it feels. And having driven Varad's car briefly, a couple of months back, I can also tell you that his car feels a lot more planted. I think that confidence that he's talking about as maybe a newer driver than me, I understand why he's done this. It feels a lot more planted. On the stock one, you do feel the body roll.
Yeah.
When there are mid-corner bumps, you do feel the car getting a little unsettled.
I mean that's bound to happen given the stance on it.
Absolutely. And the reason why I haven't touched the suspension or tried to lower the car, even though it looks fantastic as you can see on Varad's car, is that I do a lot of rough roads, a couple of off roads as well for work. So I need all the ground clearance that I can get, and that's where I feel comfort-wise it's at a great level. Maybe when I change the tires from the stock ones, I think it will only amplify even better. And I'm waiting for maybe a kit where you can hydraulically lower and raise the car.
I think that's air suspension for you.
There is something like that out
Yeah, but
there.
I've
Awesome.
heard it's not that comfortable though. Air
It gives you the best
suspensions.
of both, I would say. If you want
Yeah,
a slam look, but again, it's too low to be. for
that's
Indian
true.
roads.
But what I've heard with, I mean, not about how it works out in India, but what I've heard in other countries is that the air suspension is more like a show car thing. It gives you more of an anxiety driving that around because if anything, even one of the bags have some kind of leak, you're dead. You have to.
Just one side is just tilted like
Exactly.
It's
So,
not
first of all, that anxiety, and plus, apparently, it's not that comfortable on roads. That's what I've heard. I've never tried it out, so I cannot really
quite
comment.
bumpy, I would say.
Actually, yeah, that's what I've heard a lot.
So, Varad, I understand that you can adjust your, I think your rebound and
Yeah.
damping, on the fly as good as, right? I mean, you just.
I'll have to
operate it at
stop
the strut.
and then I have
Okay.
to do it. Yeah.
But what about the ride height? Do you need to put it on a lift or can that be done?
No,
Cars
right. I
on
don't think so. We can do it with the wheels on and everything. We'll have to
Okay.
put it on lift and then you have to tweak
Understood.
it around.
So you'll have to, it's a quite little time
Yeah,
consuming.
exactly.
Right. So would you suggest any suspension tweaks to the people, to our community?
Suspension tweak as in the coilovers tweak?
Yeah.
Okay. So at the moment, I don't know what is the preload settings and everything because from Carmed, who is Kalyan and Carmed, if anyone's getting coilovers from for their cars, I feel Carmed, whoever in Carmed, the guy's name is Kalyan.
Okay.
He's a little mastermind, I'm telling you. He. The thing is, I've gone through a lot of suspension settings on this, and he entertains me completely. So he also has done a lot of research on how the suspension should be perfectly balanced out.
Yes, that's very
And
important. It's supposed to be
exactly.
balanced. Right.
Exactly. So because these are front-engine cars, the way the setup is done is so that if you see from factory itself, the car kind of sits a little more rear on the
Yes.
top.
The rear is a little lifted than the front.
rear is a
yes.
little lifted from the front. So initially, what we would think is we have to lower it. It'll be a little more better. But what happens in that scenario is that the car does not handle the same way
Correct.
because that's not how it was designed to do.
Makes
So what these guys did was they kind of maintained that kind of stance by, and then also tweaked a little in the preload and everything. So
Right.
now in the back it's running a little more higher preload than in the front, just so that you can get a lot of grip on the front because it's a
Front wheel drive
car,
end of the day.
right?
Yes.
And also in the damping, right now just got the setup done again. So the damping setting, what I'm currently running is around 13 in the front and 15 in the back.
So you think that's ideal at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment it's ideal because it's much lower. So so in the previous setup which I had, it was at a little more on the higher ride height. So that time with a more convenient ride height, it was at around 6 in the front and 8 in the back. That was the setting at
Pretty
that
good.
time. So
Yes.
it's pretty much comfortable.
Right. So Akshay, what would be your dream final build if money and time weren't an issue?
That's a great question. Are you talking about on
Yeah,
this
on the
car?
Virtus,
Okay. On the Virtus. Well, I was really keen on going stage 3, especially after I spoke to a couple of people who've done it on the Polos. And I eventually will, I think, get there once the stock turbocharger maybe packs up.
So
See-
stage 3 build is what you're looking at the moment.
Absolutely.
So that's your dream build.
Yeah, I want to max out this platform and see what.
So
So you
if
can
it's
do.
stage 3, you will have to upgrade your turbos and intercoolers. So which one
Correct.
do you have in mind? So which one would you
Um,
prefer?
There are a couple of them that I've heard of. I still need to do a little more research. There's a Bangalore-based company itself that sells.
Stella Turbos, I guess.
Yes, I think
Stella
that's the
Turbos.
one. I recently spoke to the guy, so they've got it readily available. It's not crazy costly as well. It's pretty much cost similar to the stock turbo. So that would be it. I think lowering and all that for our Indian roads. I think I'm happy with the ride height the way it is
Stock ride
because
height.
it's just a lot of peace of mind. I don't worry about the speed arms. I don't
Yeah,
worry about
nothing
any
at
road that you want to drive on. It hardly scrapes. So that's been a joy. The one concern I had maybe.
Video. Okay. If you both swapped cars for a day, who do you think would enjoy it more and why?
I probably think Varad because how often are we driving on a racetrack, right? So if he had my car, he'd be enjoying the power whenever he got the chance.
Maybe, but I feel you would enjoy it more.
Okay.
Because this car you can handle it however you want. Even in the street, you find someone, you just overtake effortlessly.
I'm sure my route to work, I would take maybe half an hour longer on your car because how careful I would have to be over
That's there.
a lot of the crazy stuff.
You have to take it cross, look for potholes and everything.
Yeah, believe me, the 3 kilometers from my house to the main road is.
I mean, I can increase the
Whoa.
ride height. I can increase the ride height.
your wheels and then do all the tweaking and then put it back.
Yeah, just one
By the
time, right?
we'll cross the road by then.
One time only. No, I'll do it before we do this. Before we stop, I'll increase the ride height and give it to him.
Keep in mind, I ride a KTM Adventure, right? And because roads are the main reason why.
So he's more of an off-roading kind of person, I would say.
And yes, I'm lowering an already low car.
How low is too low?
Maybe he's going to lose his bumpers someday.
Hopefully not.
No. Can't afford that.
Yeah.
How would you define fun behind the wheel? Comfort or speed?
I don't know how do you put that up. I don't think so. Comfort is fun. I mean, it depends completely on the time also. If I'm just alone, not driving with friends, just going on a long journey, maybe to Mysore or something, I would rather have comfort over speed or performance. But if I'm going with the lads, going with the friends, I definitely want the performance because I'm having fun with all of them, right? So you rather have the performance. You want to have the maximum handling. You can play around. You can do everything.
Fully agree with Bharat there. I mean, especially with these German cars, right? Doing 100 on the highway steady, it feels like you're doing 60.
Exactly.
If I had to do that, absolutely comfortable, no sound, nothing, it's just cruising. And I feel I'm going to doze off, right? And that's why on my car,
Stage 2. That's something new, bro.
absolutely, you're exactly at the point where your power band begins at 100, in your fifth gear maybe. And yeah, and that's why I've got the Valvetronics. That's where the valves are usually open, so I at least hear the engine and the
Wake you up.
exhaust.
Yeah, of course.
Fun
You need to be
over,
awake, exhaust.
fun over comfort in
Won't
that.
let you sleep.
So, would you consider blending both sides, performance and handling. Would you consider that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the completion of any of these builds, right?
Yeah.
Where it's got all of these mods now. All he has to do is up the power, and he's gonna love
I'm
his
happy
car
with
even
it.
more. And even for me, with my current usage, maybe not, but eventually, if I'm not going to be taking this car to really rough stuff, yes, I would love to, have a similar setup to what Aman's done here.
What would you add?
Yeah, actually,
I mean, you're focused on handling, so would you want performance on your car?
as I told, I really want to have performance now. Now that the handling is up to a very high margin right now.
Exactly.
So I definitely, I'm getting kind of bored at the top speeds that this can hit, because it's just running a stage one with the two cats that this car has. I'm surprised they put two cats on this, but yeah, yeah. Uh, so yeah, definitely would invest in more power next.
So, what's the most common misconception people have about your builds? Some people will like handling, no, I prefer performance, and vice versa. So, what do you feel about the same?
I mean, different strokes for different folks, right? Uh, and yeah, see, for me, I already loved the car the way it was. All I wanted was a little more performance. So that's where my path was clear. If you're someone who probably drives to the ghats quite often, and you like to take corners fast, then yes, handling would probably be more on your priority than outright performance as such.
So, best of both worlds, right?
Best of both worlds. Because I think the stock platform itself is at a pretty high
Yeah.
level,
Correct.
where most normal folk would not feel that there's anything that requires to be done on the
Totally
car.
acceptable with that.
But all of us car guys, yeah, it's nothing's ever enough, right? There's always something better.
Oh, you have
something
to do
more.
Keep
something.
wanting more and more and
Yes.
more. I mean, that's how we build. That's how car gears
Yeah,
are
yeah.
actually built.
Exactly.
We want to take every car that we own to the max,
Potential.
So I think that's about it for today. We're concluding with 88 talks. So thanks to Bharat.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on board.
Thanks for
Thank you,
having me
Akshay.
here.
Lovely
Pleasure
having
to
you
be here. Thanks.
All right. Adios.